Hi, Phanessa here. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how to knit the smock stitch. So this video is a stitch tutorial to help with one of my beanie patterns. In this video, I'm going to use a super bulky weight yarn so that you can see easily. This is Lion Brand's Wool Ease Thick and Quick. This is the color Tangerine. I have a set of straight needles here. This is US 15 10mm needles. All right, let's get started. So this pattern requires stitches in multiples of 8 plus 7. So I'm going to cast on 31. That's 8 times 3, which is 24, plus the 7 gives me 31 stitches. And I'm using the long tail cast on method. You can use whatever method you'd like. Okay, so I have 24 stitches. I am going to cast on 7 more stitches. Okay, row 1. This is going to be the right side of your work. We're going to start with 1 purl stitch. So purl the first stitch, knit the next stitch, and then the repeat is purl 3, knit 1. So you're going to repeat that until your last stitch, and then you're going to purl your last stitch. Okay, so this is my last purl, knit the next stitch, and then repeat across, purl 3, 1, 2, 3, and knit 1. Okay, so I'm purling my last stitch. Now I'm going to turn my work. This is going to be the wrong side of your work. So this is row 2. Now we're going to knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. And we're always going to do that on the wrong side of our work. Okay, so here's the first stitch here. It is a knit stitch. This one is purl. You can see the purl bump there. And these next 3 stitches are knit stitches. And then this 4th one is a purl. So you can see the purl stitches by looking at the purl bump. So there's knit 3, purl 1, knit 3, purl 1. And you repeat until the last stitch, and then you just knit the last stitch. Okay, row 3 is the smock stitch row. We're going to start with 1 purl stitch, and then we're going to work a smock stitch over the next 5 stitches. So grab a cable needle or a double pointed needle, and then we're going to slip these 5 stitches purlwise. So insert as if to purl. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so you're going to hold that in the front. Now you're going to grab your yarn and wrap it around your 5 stitches counterclockwise. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. A shorter actual cable needle would work better. This double pointed needle is too long. So there you see the 2 strands. I've wrapped my 5 stitches twice, and now we're going to knit directly off of this needle here. I have a double pointed needle, but if you have your cable needle, go ahead and knit right from your cable needle. So from the cable needle, we are going to knit 1, purl 3, knit 1. So knit 1, slide it off. Now we're going to purl the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, whoops, and 3. And then knit the last stitch from your cable needle. Okay, so now we have created a smock 5. So that just means that we've wrapped around 5 stitches. So we've worked a smock stitch. Now we're going to purl 3. And then now we're going to work another smock stitch. And we're working over these 5 stitches. So grab your double pointed needle or your cable needle, and you're going to slip these 5 stitches here. So slip 5 stitches. Here's the first one. Slip as if to purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so hold that in the front of your work. Grab your working yarn and wrap the working yarn around those 5 stitches in a counterclockwise direction. I like to pull this a little tight so that I don't have a big hole between these stitches. Now from the cable needle or double pointed needle, I'm going to knit 1, purl 3, 1, 2, 3, and then knit the last stitch from your cable needle. Okay, so now we have another smock 5. So I'm going to repeat that across. I'm going to purl 3, and then work another set of smock 5. So I'm actually going to use a real cable needle. This is what it looks like. Just make sure it's smaller than the needle you're using. The double pointed needle was way too long for me to wrap around my stitches comfortably, so I'm using this cable needle. Okay, so I'm going to slip 5 onto my cable needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it kind of sits into this little dip here nicely. So you want to wrap the 5 stitches with your working yarn. Make sure you tug right there so that there's no hole, and wrap it around twice. So this is once here, one more time. Okay, and then right from the cable needle you're going to knit, purl 3, and knit. Okay, so I'm going to slide it to the edge. So I'm going to knit this first stitch, purl the next 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then finally knit the last stitch from your cable needle. Okay, I have one more set. I'm going to purl 3, and then I have one more smock 5 stitch. So I'm going to slip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have one stitch left, and my needle keeps falling off, so I like to pull it up a little just so I don't lose it. It's not too bad with the super bulky weight yarn. So now I'm going to wrap around these 5 stitches twice in a counterclockwise direction, and then again right from the needle you're going to knit 1, purl 3, and knit 1. Okay, so purl your last stitch. So now we are going to work the next row. And the easiest way for me to remember is that there are 5 rows between each smock stitch row. And for those 5 rows, it's pretty much knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. So this is row 4. We're going to knit the first stitch and purl the second stitch, and then the repeat is going to be knit 3, purl 1. You repeat that all the way across and you knit the last stitch. Again, the easiest way to remember is to knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. Okay, knit your last stitch. Okay, now for rows 5 through 9, we're going to knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. Okay, so if you look here, these are purl stitches, that's a knit, those are purls, and knit, and then purls. There are 3 purl stitches in between the knit stitches. So you want to work 4 more rows, and then we'll work another smock stitch row. Okay, so I have worked 4 more rows, so I have a total of 5 rows between this last smock stitch here and the next one that I'm going to work. So for the next smock stitch, we're going to work it in between the previous smock stitches. So for row 10, we're going to start a little different than we did our last smock stitch row. Okay, so we are going to purl our first stitch, and then you're going to knit your next stitch, and then I'm going to purl the next 3 stitches. Okay, so this is where we want to start our smock stitch. So if you look here, this is the last smock stitch. Now we're going to wrap it around these stitches here. So I'm going to slip 5 stitches off the needle as if to purl. Place the cable needle in the front. Now we're going to wrap those 5 stitches with our working yarn, and we're going to wrap it counterclockwise. Wrap it once, wrap it twice. Now right from the needle, we are going to knit, purl 3, and knit the last stitch. Knit 1, purl 3, and knit 1. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat purl 3 and smock 5 until the last 5 stitches. Once I get to the last 5 stitches, I'm going to end with purl 3 and then a knit and a purl. If for some reason you get lost on where you're supposed to be slipping, make sure that there are 2 knit stitches on the edge and 3 purl stitches in the center. Okay, so I've completed my last smock stitch. I'm going to purl 3, and then the last 2 stitches is going to be knit and purl. Okay, so now I'm going to work 5 rows where I knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches, and then I'm going to repeat the smock stitch row from row 3, and then another 5 rows where I just work knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. And then your next smock stitch row is row 9. Okay, so you keep repeating that until you're happy with your size. So just remember that there are 5 rows between the smock stitch rows. If you would like the written instructions, it is linked in the description box below. So I've knit a few more rows here. Okay, so there are 5 rows between your smock stitch rows, and then in those rows all you do is knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. So it's always knit 1 and then purl 3, and if you're on the wrong side, it's purling the purl stitches and knitting the knit stitches. So here's the row 3 smock stitch here, and this is the smock stitch on row 9. They are staggered, they are not on top of each other, and there are 5 rows between the smock stitch rows. So here are 3 purl stitches. These are the knit stitches here. So this is the wrong side. So I've knit a few more repeats, and this is what it looks like. I'm running out of yarn, so this is as far as I'll go. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so that you are notified every time I post a video. Alright, I'll see you next time.